If there was any properly done investigation, done by professional investigators, some of these errors will not occur. There's nothing that interim management committee. We had a Central Medical Stores Management Committee officially appointed by Honorable Sherry Aiti on the 7th January 2014 with 5 members. So the fact that you have a statement of this status saying that I am a member of interim tells you that somebody just sat at his desk and wrote it.
So you doubt the credibility of the statement?
100%. This is a complete concussion.
By who?
By whoever issued it. On the 13th, the CMS got bent. I wanted to go again on record that the CMS Management Committee, we presented the report to Honorable Ajiman Mensah. The committee asked me to get his attention because we were having several challenges at the CMS. We met the Honorable Minister at the conference room of the Ministry of Health. All the problems that we were having at the CMS, we briefed the Honorable Minister, Honorable Ajiman Mensah, and the Chief Director. That was 7th January 2015. I keep repeating this because it is important people, the Ghanaian public, take note of this fact. That I, Inua Yusuf, and the chairman presented the problems to the minister. So we knew what the problems were. So every single finding, as per 2.0 of this so-called statement, were things that were known to us. And they were in the statement that we presented to the Honorable Minister. And the report is there. So that is again my problem with this particular statement, or whatever they want to call a report. That this couldn't be an investigation findings. This could not be findings of an investigation because these were things that were known already.
You think they did a copy and paste of what you sent to the minister?
Absolutely. My information is that the Honorable Minister asked for certain actions to be taken. Unfortunately, 1 week after we met the minister, the CMS got bent. If I want to bend the CMS, will I go meeting the minister and the chief director and with all the directors in the ministry and listen all the problems when we wanted solutions to these problems?
Do you think the CMS was intentionally burned?
If you put the pieces together, so much points to the fact that this was a deliberate act. But statements like this and the pieces give me an impression that somebody is so desperate about diverting the attention of the Ghanaians and the public away from the real issues. So that is where, at this point, when the statement was brought out, I started thinking that could it be that somebody did something and he just wants to divert attention? Kwabena, I say this because you have 12 people listed here. At least for the 1 year that I served as a management committee member, I can tell you on authority that there are many people on this list who were not on talking terms with each other.
You seem to be very confident that there was no investigation before the statement was brought out.
My level of confidence, which is very, very high, is the fact that I, Alhaji Inua, was not investigated. If anybody else was investigated, I do not know. But the fact is that if the National Security investigated me, they should name which officer spoke to me.
Even though you criticize how this report came out, you do agree that the problems over there listed as the reasons for which some people, the 12 people, which you have included, set the place alight, they were valid?
I am not an investigator. I cannot apportion reasons why somebody will burn the place. But what I do know is that I, Alhaji Inua, never ever even thought about burning the CMS.
You definitely not admit to it, even if you did it.
I will not begrudge anybody who holds his own opinion. But I have built a credibility to a certain level. And again, like you said, if you look at the statement, which is 2.4, that, and I read, the motive for the destruction of the evidence was the fact that the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, had been asked to investigate the circumstances surrounding the expiration of large quantity of drugs. Let me give an explanation that will answer your question. I was the one who supervised a team to remove all the expired medicines from the CMS. And this is what happened. we had terms of reference. Terms of reference, and the CMS Management Committee was supposed to report to the Honorable Minister periodically. Monthly basis, we were supposed to report. I was responsible for generating the report, or let's say compiling the report. The report will be generated by the staff, okay? And it's a normal practice in supply chain that if you have a warehouse, you must count. Unfortunately, first month, no counting. Second month, no counting. Third month, no counting. So we started getting embarrassed. I was personally embarrassed. How come we cannot generate, we can't count monthly, and the quarter ends, we can't? So the management committee started getting nervous and worried. So what did we do? We said, okay, if the warehouse manager cannot give us our account for reasons that, again, will shock you when I say it.
Tell us, what is the reason?
The reason being that it's a huge warehouse. We had 7 stores, big stores. The medicines are packed all the way to the ceiling. So you need to bring down the medicines with a forklift. Apart from that, we had so many medicines packed on the floor. It was very chaotic and disorganized. Honestly, I felt disgraced and ashamed that pharmacists were managing that facility. So when we were put there to oversee, we said, no, this will not continue. We had to get it organized. The fact is that the forklifts had their wires cut.
Deliberately cut, you think?
Vandalized. Wires do not cut by themselves. Somebody deliberately cut them. So again, that answers your question, that if somebody says, I am denying. At the time, I wasn't at the warehouse, so who was the one who cut them? We had another forklift which was run on diesel, but diesel-powered forklifts emit smoke, so you cannot use them in the warehouse. So we had to rent forklifts. Management committee took that decision, and they said, well, Alaji, why don't you come and supervise the counting of these medicines? I said, no problem. So I went into my jeans and my sneakers one nice weekend, got a team. We got a team of the auditors, the accountants, and some other people to help. We constituted 2 teams. That was when we got shocked that most of the medicines had expired. So naturally, what do we do? When medicines are expired, you don't keep them in the warehouse. You request for destruction as per policy. So I drafted a letter, and the chairman signed, and we sent a letter to Honorable Sherry Aite that this was the situation we're confronted with, that we have found a lot of expired medicines and we needed to get them disposed of. So we needed her to jumpstart the process of destruction. You know, they have to be destroyed according to environmental protection rules, because these are very dangerous chemicals. So when Honorable Sharia Ite got the notice, she got alarmed. And I'll be very honest with you, her first reaction was that she would send the press there. So honestly, I have a discussion. It was then Madam Salah, who was the chief director. I said, Madam, there's a genuine problem, yes. A lot of expired medicines. Bringing the press, at the end of the day, what does it connote? Honorable Sheraite is the minister. You are the chief director. Why don't you take action? Why don't you take action? So within a very short time, by our next meeting, the chairman of the committee informed us that Honorable Sheraite had referred the matter to Iyoko. I said, bingo. So then we discussed, and again, we arrived at a decision that, and I propose it. Once the Iyoko is going to investigate, you need to preserve the medicines as what exhibits. Now, here we are confronted with a situation where expired medicines were occupying useful space. And as a technical person, you would like to use the space appropriately, maximize resources. So we agreed that we will move the medicines out of the warehouse and preserve them outside in the open.
In the open?
In the open, but within the yard of the CMS.
Not subject to the weather conditions?
Beautiful. Beautiful. So what do? What Iyoko needs to do is to count when they came there, right? You needed to preserve it, so that's why we got tarpaulin. to cover the medicines. I was the one who compiled the list for the chairman to sign to inform the Honorable Shariahiti that this was the quantum of expired medicines that we had. So when she referred it to Yoko, we wrote to her that with permission through the chief director, of course, that we needed permission to preserve the medicines outside the warehouse, and we were given the okay. So that's how come we removed the medicine and packed them at the
and that was where the fire started.
Beautiful. That was exactly where the fire started. And incidentally, the heap of medicines were at a point sharing the wall with the receiving bay. And the receiving bay had millions of useless condoms. The Ghana Health Service procured condoms, and FDA found that they were useless condoms. So again, we were grappling with how to get those condoms destroyed. You see, like a football park, it was about half the size of football park, and already they were thinking about how to go about it. In fact, that was even a subject of investigation. The
Yoko investigations?
I don't know whether Yoko, but the ministry was finding out, because these are counterpart funding facility that was used to procure the condoms. So they were wondering how come we could bring this type of useless condoms. So they were actually investigating the issue of condoms. So here you have Yoko investigating the expired medicines, and behind the wall you had condoms, huge quantity of condoms. You move away from that to the corridors of the warehouse, you find useless National Health Insurance prescription pads. Useless, millions of them.
It's been 2 years. Why have you been quiet all this while? Why didn't you start speaking up when the report was read? When you were sending the petitions, why didn't you speak up?
You see, if you have respect for authority, you will do what I did. I petitioned 3 key people, cabinet ministers, and the whole national security coordinator. 2 times. I just had to wait to see their reaction. The ministry is not reacting. Attorney General is not saying that you are being unfair to this gentleman. Why should I continue keeping quiet? I have children. I have people who look up to me. I have built a career. If I have not done anything wrong, it is most unfair for anybody to say that I have done something wrong.